Today's paper. This is Terry Cringle, and today's paper is the Isle of Man Examiner of Friday, July the 2nd, 1937. Price 1.5 old pence, a penny halfpenny. It is a good-looking paper, and the slogan on the masthead says, "Largest net sale of any Manx newspaper." 3 years earlier, the Examiner had started publishing photographs, the first Manx paper to do so, and this had enabled it to break the dominance of its rival, the Isle of Man Times. And so what's the front page news in the summer of 1937? Well, the police are introducing new methods. The Chief Constable, Major J.W. Young, has announced that police phone boxes are being erected in outlying parts of Douglas to enable the law to act more quickly. People will be able to lift the phone and find themselves straight through to police headquarters in Athol Street, and within minutes a police car can be on the scene. There's a photo of the first box, a rather large, rustic-looking thing, at St Ninian's. There are going to be others at Quarterbridge and Port Jack. The Examiner's coverage shows that it is deeply impressed by this technological advance. There's also a front-page story saying that the steam packet shareholders have agreed that the company should consider diversifying into that still pretty newfangled form of transport, flying. They could have done it, but in the end, they didn't. Mind you, in 1937, the main route out of the island is by sea by way of Liverpool, and we find an advertisement in page 2 of today's paper, put in by one Jim Montgomery of the Victoria Hotel, St John's Lane, Liverpool, half a minute from the Mersey Tunnel and Lime Street Station. "It's the Manx Rendezvous," says Jim, "with bed and breakfast, lunches, teas, and Castletown ales." It's the summer, July, and a huge variety of holiday entertainment is on offer in the island by way of theatres, dance halls and cinemas. For instance, the Crescent Pavilion. This lively little wooden theatre used to be on the promenade between the Empress Hotel and the Crescent Cinema, and it's offering Moonlight Revels of 1937 with the 4 Paradise Girls. The coronation of King George VI has just taken place, and today's paper, the Examiner of July the 2nd, 1937, is telling its readers that a display of replicas of the crown jewels, as just seen in reality in Westminster Abbey, will soon be visiting Douglas. And 400 Manx veterans of the Great War of 1914-18 have joined thousands of others in a grand royal review and march past in Hyde Park in front of His Majesty. The Spanish Civil War is going on, and the Examiner has a story about 3 refugees from the conflict who have fled to the island and are living at Port St Mary. They are 2 British missionaries and a Spanish girl, and it'll be another 2 years before the war ends and they can return to Madrid. There's some important news from the south of the island. A mains water supply is on its way for the people of Ballabeg, but people at the Howe, Cregnish and Fistard will have to wait a little bit longer. We also have full coverage of that great event of the South, La Columcille. All the results of the show classes are listed in detail, the sort of wearisome job that junior reporters were given, and also the results of the sports events. We learn that the flat race for boys under 6 was won by Orry Tier. I was at school with him, with Brian Lease second and John Crane third. It is noticeable that nearly all the names listed are Manx. We were well in the majority in those days. Finally, the back page, which the Examiner always filled with photographs. It's the visiting season, of course, and there are wonderful shots of visitors crammed into the steam ferries, taking them across the harbour to Douglas Head. The spirit of summer, for the readers of today's paper, which has been the Isle of Man Examiner of Friday, July the 2nd, 1937.
Today's paper.